Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Few Beers and a Shot. This will be episode 4 of our miniseries on conspiracy theories. Today, we are going to be talking about the Knights Templar.
Yes, and the Freemasons.
The Freemasons as well, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. This is your hosts, Juan and Kyle.
Yep.
And today, what are we drinking, Mr. Kyle?
Well, today we are taking a trip back in time to 1664 France and drinking some Kronenberg Blanc, which is a French beer that was made, obviously, in 1664. And it is a golden pale lager with a alcoholic percentage of 5.5. And, and this is the original recipe. They haven't divulged from it or anything.
Yeah.
So this is the exact recipe from the original brewmaster, Geronimus Hott.
So, quick little notices. It's a French beer with a Austrian or German name-ish kind of deal.
Yeah, because it's right on the border of, like, the German-French area.
So if you were to go, you would have to take a chopper.
Oh, jeez.
I had to.
Well, okay. But the reason behind this beer is because the Knights Templar were founded in France.
Yes.
And incorporate the beer to the party, we picked the oldest beer made in France. Yes, that we could find in the United States. So
I mean,
that's French.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So I don't think these are twist. Yeah, no.
Okay. So we are going to try this Kronenberg 1664.
All right.
Mm-hmm. You want to give me that? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that's the one.
All right. This smells a little.
Smells like a little bit like
Heineken.
Yeah, skunky.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers. That's very light.
Oh yeah, I can drink this one.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like I'm like halfway done with it already.
I know,
Jesus.
dude. You always go for that deep chug on the first sip, even though you don't know if you're gonna like it. You just like pound half the beer.
So it does have a little bit of a skunk to it.
A little bit.
Skunk.
It's not bad. I mean, I could tell from my first experience with Heineken, which I got turned off. It was way skunkier than this.
Oh yeah,
and it could have been because I got a bad batch, but this is not horrible. No. I could drink this. This is, it's light. It's lagerish.
I like this one. This is more my style than some of the other beers we've been having lately. This is more my cup of tea, where I can sit back and actually drink these.
It's your cup of beer?
Yes, my cup of beer.
No, it's definitely lighter than some of the other stuff we had for sure. You know me. I like my heavier hitters.
Mm-hmm.
You like to get on base. I like to knock it out of the park sometimes.
Well, yeah, you do things as like a sprint. I'm more of a marathon kind of guy where I could sit there and drink all day and be like, oh, it's still good. I'm going.
That's true. I still can't hang with the best of them though.
Yes, but if you like Heineken, Kronenberg 1664 is right up your alley.
Yeah, that's a good reference though. Heineken is definitely something that tastes very similar to this.
Yeah, they have the same I wouldn't say if you put them side by side, you'd still be able to tell the difference, but you'd be like, oh, they're pretty similar.
Yeah, it's kind of got that Dos Equis lager ish taste without the skunky.
Actually, I didn't even think about that. Dos Equis is another one.
Yeah,
not as it would have to be like out in the sun for a little bit and then cold again, so it gets kind of skunky.
Yeah,
and then Dos Equis would be in that category too.
Like you gotta cool it, let it warm up, and then cool it again.
Yep.
Then you'll get that.
Yes.
1664 Kronenberg taste.
But I don't mind it.
Dude, from being the original recipe, it's not bad.
No.
I can imagine some fucking peasons getting messed up on that.
They were drinking this shit in 1664. They had a pretty good time.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, shit, all right. Yeah,
we're drinking this shit now.
And then now the fucking,
It's like, welcome to the new country. Host! So, kick us off with the Knights Templar there, sir.
Yes, so we got the Knights Templar. The poor fellow soldiers of Christ in the Temple of Solomon. A little bit about them. They were active between 1119 and 1312.
That's when they were disassembled?
Yes.
By the Pope himself?
Yep, and they were...
righteous man of righteous men?
They were part of the Roman Catholic order, and their job was to protect Christian pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land.
Yes.
That was their main focus in the beginning,
mm-hmm.
and then it turned into more... once they got to the Holy Land, more of a militarized, like, all right, we need to defend the Holy Land. And then also back in France and all through Europe, they held different posts, and then they also were like a lot of there's a lot that goes into the Knights Templar, that like there wasn't just guys who were knights. There was other parts of the order that didn't do fighting. So it's pretty interesting. They had 15,000 to 20,000 members at their highest point. And like here, like I just said, 10% of them were knights. Yeah. So only 10% of them actually really did the fighting. I mean, you had farmers, you had landowners, you had, they had their own. They had priests in the temples and everything else, and they had a lot of stuff.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, if they had to go, they had to fight.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there was specific parts of the order were the fighters.
So here's the crazy thing: they were founded in 1118 in Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Their headquarters were there. Headquarters. And yeah, their role was protection of the Christian pilgrims in Palestine. Shock troops. They were, like you said, active all the way up until 1312. Last Grand Master was Jacques de Molay. Known.
One crazy thing.
Yeah.
They're the reason why Friday the 13th is so unlucky.
Yes, I read about that earlier. Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
the unlucky holiday.
Yes.
It's actually not.
Well, for them it was.
Yeah. Of
course.
For them, yeah. But even then, like, I mean, I know we're gonna get into this, down the minutes, but it didn't end once they got disassembled. Well,
no, because they had, when it comes to their own secrets, like they did a lot of coding, and there was probably members that were, or there was probably parts of the order that the Pope and everybody else didn't know about.
Yeah.
So I could see those people being able to escape and becoming parts of other factions. Like I know,
well, not even necessarily escape. They were just, since they were unknown, they're just like, well, we're just gonna rally over here, and do our thing over here. Which, from what I investigated a little bit on, or saw, read, and whatnot, they did do. But I love this question on Google: are the Knights Templar good or bad? You care to read there?
Well, it all depends on your point of view.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so I'll be like, under torture, the Templars confessed to all sorts of sinful and criminal behavior: spitting on the cross, kissing and sex between members of the order, denial of Christ, and worshiping fake idols. Yes. So there's been, it was King. Was it King Philip? I think it was King Philip of France. He brought up all these charges on them. Yeah, King Philip IV. He put up these charges against them of like blasphemy and heresy and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because there was people telling them that they would do like, say like they would kiss each other during, like, if you became a new Templar, you would have to.
There was rituals of initiation.
You would have to, like, you'd spit on the cross. Then they had a skull of the oldest Templar, the founder that died. They had his skull in a thing, and you would have to praise your, pledge your allegiance to that, and then they would all like kiss each other, and then they would be part of like orgies together. And he tried bringing it up. He brought it up to the Pope, and then the Pope was like, "Yeah, no, like, we're not gonna go for that." Yeah. And then that's where it leads to. There was, it's like witnesses and Templars that were captured were tortured into giving false confessions that led to this stuff happening.
Yeah,
because King Philip got, he he didn't have trust in them.
It's like, hey, did those guys kiss? No. Yeah. Break your arm? Well, dude, okay, yeah, they did kiss.
Well, because at the top, like the peak of Templar existence, like they had more money, they had more land.
Treasures. And
they could have, like, they could have overthrown anybody they wanted to at that time, you know, and like they could have just been like, well, we're done with the Holy Land, we'll just take over France, and it'll be Templar land, you know, if they wanted to.
Well, wasn't it one of their big things, like, taking over the Holy Land?
Well, they were there to protect it. So, because if you go back in the whole crusade, just the crusades in general, you would have, it went from Christians to Muslims to Christians to Muslims to Jews to Christians to Muslims. Like, the Holy Land always was either conquered by one or conquered by the other, and then one would fortify it, and then it would fall to the other, and it would just go back and forth, and that's why in Jerusalem there's, you know, you can go to an area where it's Christian built on top of Muslim, then built again by Christian, and then built again by Muslim. Like, it was over, like they was just build onto it.
It's like, get your shit together, man.
Well, and then that's when the city now is separated into sections where, you know, like, this is the Muslim part of Jerusalem. This is
welcome to the Muslim wing. Welcome to the Christian wing.
Yeah, like, and it's all like they all coexist. Mm-hmm. And when the Templars and the Christians had control of the Holy Land, it was like that.
But these were some bad motherfuckers.
Oh yeah.
Or like, at least like the squad, the fighting squad, the 10% guys. Those dudes were bad dudes, man. Like,
well, dude, that was their life.
Yeah, they were like,
because
I guess you could compare them to like the 300, the Spartans.
Yeah.
These guys were bad fuckers.
Oh yeah, and you weren't allowed, like, if you became a Templar, like, technically you weren't allowed to own anything.
So you're like a Jedi.
Yeah, and you weren't allowed to have a family. You weren't allowed to have all this other stuff.
And like, that's at 10%, right? Or all of them.
I think if you're a knight.
Yeah.
If you're a knight, you can't have a committed relationship. Mm-hmm. Like, you weren't allowed to get married and have kids and everything else.
Right.
But you were allowed to, like, after a battle, you want to go bang a chick.
Yeah.
You know, you could go do it. But there was certain things that they weren't allowed to do, just because they wanted to keep pledging their allegiance to Christianity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even Dante's Inferno, which was he was allegedly one of the, I don't know if it's in the video game or just the movies or the actual poem, because it's a poem. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. I read the poem and I don't remember. I feel like an idiot. But if you saw the movie or the video game, he was allegedly one of the dudes that was on the Crusades, and he went through all that hardship.
Yeah.
And then he was going to come back after the whole crusade, get married to his wife, but then they explained all his sins, which is a whole different thing. I'm like going into fantasy, but it's pretty cool. If you guys like that sort of like fantasy stuff and related to this, Dante's Inferno, there's a movie, or the video game is fucking awesome. It is, dude.
So here, I want to touch on a few little things here that shows like the rise of the order and everything else. So they, after the first crusade, they captured Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And it was like 1099 AD. And many Christians made the pilgrimage to various sacred sites of the Holy Land. So while they were doing that, the Templars had to go with them on all that. Mm-hmm. They would, fight off bandits or highwaymen that were there trying to, pillage and steal from the pilgrims that were there.
Yeah.
And that's where they got to this, I guess it's called Jaffa. They made a city there. And then one of the French knights went to the king of Jerusalem and was like, hey, look, like, we need to have like an order here, and people need to be protected. Like, we need to establish just an order here.
Yeah.
And then they granted the Templars the headquarters right near the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. So that's when that kind of came about. And they're like, okay, cool. We got people to protect us now. And it just kept on growing and growing from there. And then it spread, like, they were protecting the Holy Land, but then they were also recruiting all throughout Europe.
Yeah.
And they just kept on getting bigger and bigger. And then every time they would get more troops, they'd have to go do some more fighting. So like one of their most famous victories was in 1177 during the Battle of Montagissard, where 500 knights helped several thousand infantry defeat the Muslim army of 26,000.
So like some 300 shit.
Yeah, so 500 of them helped a couple thousand guys defeat 26,000.
Yeah, but those couple thousand were like foot soldiers. These dudes were, like cavalry type.
Yeah, and then once that started happening and all the, news got back from the Holy Land back to Europe, everyone started fucking donating to the cause.
Yeah.
But not even just money. Like they were given farms, vineyards, cathedrals, castles, and even a fleet of ships. And at one time the Templars owned the island of Cyprus.
Well, even the fleet of ships thing, it plays a key role down the line. Because,
but it's just the fact that everyone saw what these guys did,
what they were capable of,
and they're just like, here, take everything. Like they were the first multinational corporation in the history of the world.
Yeah, they were the first economical superpower.
Yes,
basically.
And then there was another group which, when we were talking earlier about how the Templars kind of changed like a faction, like it was the Knights Hospitaller, which is another group similar to them, but they just had a little bit of a different function, and they were the ones who combated the Muslims in the Iberian Peninsula, which was Portugal, Spain over there.
Yeah.
So that's where they kind of had that, like, they were still the Templars, but they weren't. It was
You're talking about the Knights of Christ?
The Knights Hospitaller, yeah.
Yeah.
So you had that. And then, like, I don't want to get into the decline right now because that's later on.
Yeah.
But, like, I want to just get into a little bit of their organization because, I mean, they had 3 ranks in there. They had noble knights, non-noble sergeants, and the chaplains. And then you have, like, grand masters, and it's crazy. Like, the amount.
Those dudes were fucking way ahead of their time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and they were master strategists.
Well, yeah.
The way they were, like you said, we'll get into how they got disbanded and all that, but the way they came out of that is, I was like, holy shit, dude. And it's like their banner, I don't want to say it didn't matter, but it was like they weren't married to it. It was just like, oh, you're trying to disband us? Well, we'll just put this flag down and pick up this other one that looks exactly like it, and we'll just start taking over here. Yeah.
Well, and that's another, when you talk about how good they were with, military strategy, how good they were with...
Well, they had castles along, like, rivers, lakes, peninsulas, like you said. They were strategically placed where you could see an enemy coming from a mile away or more.
But not just that, but just their ability to...
Well, they had they had a network.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about with the secret messaging and the coding. And, like, they had secrets that only they knew about. Yeah. And they only had specific, like, codexes and things to break their codes. Yeah. And it was only shared amongst
like Da Vinci
members.
Code type shit, yeah.
And the thing is that not all the members knew. You had to be a certain rank to know what is even being talked about. Which is pretty crazy.
Like, get to the chopper.
Because you have, like, you had cavalry, you had squires who just kind of just, like, carried all the shit for people. But then they had blacksmiths, they had builders, they had farmers, they had their own chaplains.
They had their whole community.
Yeah, that's why
they were essentially an entire population.
Yes, they were their own group of people.
Yeah,
and that's why where it's like only 10% of them did the fighting.
Yeah,
like that's it. Only 10% of this group of people did the fighting. So if you look, there's at least 20,000 members. Mm-hmm. So 2,000 of them fought.
Yeah.
and the other 18,000 managed everything for them.
Yeah.
I mean, and they spread all the way from France, Jerusalem, England, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Tripoli, Hungary, and Croatia.
Well, I mean,
that's where their main areas were.
Yeah.
Like, that's where they had, like, encampments.
Or they spread out.
Yeah.
And, I mean, can we talk about the treasures they had? Like, the Ark?
Well, allegedly they have the Ark of the Covenant, and then they also had the Holy Grail. You know, and that's just all within the myth, you know, the folklore of what they are.
Yeah.
You know, because if you think about it, like, they're like, how can I put this?
Elite.
Well, yeah, they're elite, but it was just they were around during such a period of time where they had so much mystery around them.
Yeah.
You know, like, they went and they found the Temple of Solomon, allegedly. And what did they find there? Supposedly they found either the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail. You know, like, they found it, and what did they do with it?
They kept it.
Well, yeah. But then it goes, you know, what was the Holy Grail? Some people say it's a cup. Some people say it's the, you know, descendants of Christ, and, you know, you can go on and on and on what it is.
Right, but from what I've seen, whether it be science fiction or not, or read or whatever, it's always been kind of broken down into it's the cup of Christ, the one from the Last Supper. That's the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Where he was like, "This is blood of my blood" and whatnot, which is portrayed in movies and books, and which is all science fiction, by the way. But
well, so that's another thing where, like, when you come up to the, you know, where it says, like, the body of Christ and the blood and everything,
yeah,
in the cup, is that a play on words?
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, but, like, where it says, like, this is my blood, this is my body type stuff.
Yeah, no.
Could it be?
I'm saying, yeah.
Could it be? No, but could it be what they found was
the blood of Christ?
The family.
Oh. Yeah, maybe.
You know, like, could that have been the Holy Grail? There's somebody there protecting Jesus's family,
like lineage,
and they're like, hey, these are the last known people who are fucking his family. We need to protect them.
Well, I mean, and I don't want to break away from the seriousness of things, but you've seen the movie Dogma, right?
A long time ago, yeah.
Okay, so in that movie, Chris Rock plays the 13th apostle, which obviously is never mentioned in the Bible. Yeah. And he goes on a rant about why he was never mentioned, and because he's black and blah blah blah. But beyond that, he talks about the life of Jesus Christ and all that stuff, and he's like, in the Bible, Jesus goes from being 12 to 30 or 32, something like that. I haven't read it in a while, but he talks about that leap, and he says he talks about Joseph and Mary. How he's like, Jesus was divine intervention or whatever. And he's like, but to think that a couple never got down. It's like, so he's like, he talks about the possibility of Jesus Christ having like stepbrothers, stepsisters, or what have you.
Yes.
From Mary.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and yeah, it's also sort of mentioned in the Da Vinci Code, the book and the movie, how the girl that Tom Hanks is protecting is a descendant
of Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if you ever watch the show, it's on Netflix. It's called Nightfall.
Yeah.
And that one is about Templars, and the main character it comes to find out that he's part of that bloodline. And then he has a child who then he needs to protect because that's the continuation of that line.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all pretty interesting. And it's a really good show.
Yeah.
And it correlates with King Philip IV and how it's when they're at their peak and then they're starting to decline, and all the shit that King Philip is trying to do to destroy them. And then they kind of run into problems with the Pope.
Yeah.
And shit starts crumbling, and then there's a lot of war going on because now the Pope in actually France is attacking the Templars and trying to eradicate them.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a lot of stuff, dude. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was just looking over their timeline of like major, like, I guess, historical events.
Yeah.
And I mean, they only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Only?
Like nine, well, here, over the course of 200 years, 9 really critical moments.
Okay.
So you have 1119, it's when the order was founded. 1120, Baldwin II gives the Knights Templar his palace at Temple Mount, Jerusalem for their use as a headquarters. Dude is just like, here, take it. 1129, Templars achieve official recognition from Pope as a military order. 1147, first military engagement in the Second Crusade. 1153, acquire the castle of Miravet in northeast Spain. 1218, Chateau Peleron, the pilgrim castle, is built in Israel for the Knights. And now here's the decline. October 13th, 1307, King Philip IV of France makes an attack on medieval military order of the Knights.
Yeah, that's what I was looking up right now.
And in 1310, they're accused of heresy, and a trial against the Knights Templar in Paris results in 54 members of the order being burned at the stake. And in 1312, Pope Clement V officially abolishes the medieval order of the Knights Templar. So, I mean, they did a lot of shit in between.
Yeah.
But, like, to only have, I feel like, 9
to 10
moments of significance within 200 years, maybe it's just it wasn't that well documented.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about, 1,000 years ago.
But, I mean, they had so many things documented, though.
Yeah. I mean,
and it was
that kind of
and it was 700 years ago.
Well, between 1,000 and 7 years ago. 700 years ago.
Well, 900 years ago. It's not 1,000 yet.
Well, yeah, you're right. Close enough.
Almost 1,000
It's a
years.
long fucking time ago, dude. My math is not gonna be great right now.
But I mean, they really documented so many other things, though. It's, I mean, like here. Here's a quote from Bernard of Clairvaux in 1135. A Templar knight is truly a fearless knight and secure on every side, for his soul is protected by the armor of faith, just as his body is protected by the armor of steel. He is thus doubly armed and need fear neither demons nor men.
Well, yeah, those dudes were devout, man.
Oh, yeah.
They were full 110% in. And the fact that, I mean, it's weird to think about. I think they got disbanded because they were getting a little too powerful. Well, I mean, that's why I think they were like, hey, we need to keep these guys in check.
Well, yeah, that was the whole thing. They got to the point where they were acquiring land, money, and power.
Right.
To where now they were
a threat
to the Catholic Church.
Well, not just the Catholic Church, to any monarchy.
But the biggest part of it was that if you wanted to stay in good order in Europe,
yeah,
you needed to pledge your faith to
the church.
And like a lot of these leaders saw that writing on the wall. So even if they didn't like the Pope, they still pledged their allegiance, because if you got excommunicated by the Pope, nobody's going to want to trade with you. Nobody's going to work with you.
Yeah,
because if you did, now it's like, well, shit, now I'm going to be excommunicated too because I helped you. So when they see that this group is just gaining more land, more money, more power, and the possibility of they have something that the church wants that they're holding over their head, i.e. the covenant or the Holy Grail.
Because it's not just holding over their head, though, because they were for the church.
No, but I'm talking about once when they found whatever they found at Solomon's temple, they never gave to the church. They kept it for themselves.
Yeah.
So they kept it as a bargaining chip.
They kept the spoils.
Yeah.
Of whatever they conquered.
But they kept it as a bargaining chip for, but to then the Pope and everybody else be like, well, shit, you know what? we got to get rid of these guys. We have to make them the most wanted people.
But who do you think did it? Was it Philip or was it the actual church? Because the one that fucking started the whole shit in writing is
King Philip.
Yeah.
Well, that was a different thing. That was just what was going on in France. Because
and then they fell in bad faith with the church.
Yes, because in France, the knights were seen better than the government.
Yeah, I can see
because
that.
They were the ones giving out food. They were the ones taking care of the people, while the king and his people were in their castle not doing that.
Yeah.
So when you see something where you're like, the knights are being treated better than us, we need to get rid of them. So they would put spies into the order or try to manipulate people within the order to tell them something. And that's when these guys were captured and given false confessions, and then they were all burned, which then those came back to the Pope, and then that's when they started getting excommunicated, and that's when those orders were taken out on Friday the 13th.
That's some Game of Thrones shit right there.
Yeah, man.
It's all political.
Yep.
Yeah. They did them dirty, man.
Oh, yeah, of course they did.
But then again, it's like... I'm having like what's it called? Double morale right now. Thoughts about this shit. Because, I mean, I was born and raised Catholic.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
But I've always been dubious about everything that you're told, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So then you start reading into the material. You start doing your own little investigating, creating your opinion and stuff. And it's like, is everything real? Is it a metaphor? Is it yada, yada, yada?
Yeah.
And then you have documentation of events that happen. And you're like,
Well, I'll finish your point. And then...
No, I'm just saying, it's like, it would have been crazy to live in that time, for starters.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, 200 years? Or to actually have the facts. Not just hey, we think this is what happened, or this is what we know. But I'm talking about you for a fact knowing, like, no, this happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was there, not necessarily I was there, but, like, this is a fact. This is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Not, this is what was written, because everybody knows history is written by the winners. So, to actually know, like, because these dudes went into hiding.
Yes.
After the fall. They went into hiding, and they started, their uprising under a different banner.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you don't know, and it's all like, this is what we know. This is what has been found. This is what's out there. Versus knowing, like, hey, man, these are facts. This happened. This shit went down this way.
So how you were getting about, the whole thing with Christian or Catholic and listening to things and then kind of looking at you're doing your own research on it to, get your own opinion on it.
Right. Your own take.
Look at the stories that are written in Catholicism and in Christianity. And you also look at the similar stories that are written in Judaism and in Muslim.
Yeah.
They all have similar stories.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all written by somebody different.
Yeah.
So, do you take it as these events might have actually happened? Because you have all these different religions who have similar stories.
I look at it this way. It's, I don't know. Let's say, for example, 9/11 as an example. But I'm just saying an event, okay. a historic event. 9/11 happened, right? But you have different newspapers telling a different story. Not necessarily that, hey, the jets didn't hit, or I didn't see that. No, like, they all hit, but they all have their angle. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have their, it happened because of this, or we have the source that told us this, so this is our narrative. That's what I'm getting at. So, just to, set an example, you take a historic event, you're talking about, 2,023 years back with Christ, for example, and you have the different religions, Judaism, Catholicism, etc., etc. I don't know how many other there were back then, but you know what I'm getting at. And then you have like, oh, well, this is our take. And then you have the other guys who are like, well, this is our take.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's like, you know, in Muslim religion, they address, you know, Jesus as being existing.
Yeah.
You know, but he was just a dude.
Right.
You know, he was just some guy that hung out and did some magic tricks. You know, that's what it kind of was to them.
That's their take.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of weird to be like, all right, so if all of these people, all these religions and everything else are writing this stuff down, like, it had to have existed.
I mean,
at a point, like, you know, like, and that's the only thing I'm trying to think of. Like, I'm not trying to bring up the discussion of religion itself. Right. I'm talking about the events that happened.
Right.
So, like, I feel like if all these other people are writing about the same exact shit just from a different angle,
right,
shit must have happened.
Right. Like, for example,
did like, you know, a typical joke of like, you know, a Christian, a Jew, and a Muslim walk into a bar. Like the three of them, like, fucking meet up one day. Like, hey, we're gonna write these books. Yeah. We should have some similar stories so it makes people believe them.
Well, even then, like, I don't know. I'm trying to remember because I want to have facts, but I don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I've read, but it's been a while, so I don't have the exact dates. But even like before Christ, there was a character similar to Christ, Zarathustra, who was like, but he wasn't like, oh, I'm a son of God or whatever. He was a dude like Christ who was like, hey, I'm here to help, and I do the magic tricks. Let's call it that, like, you know, stone to bread, water to wine kind of deal. And he was the exact same kind of character, but he was like 3,000 years before Christ.
Yeah.
So it was like he could have been like the son of Christ, but in a different society at the time, let's call it, or a different age.
Yeah.
Where he was like, well, at that point, it could have been like right now, if some dude came up and he was like, I'm the son of Christ, and I could do all these magics. We'll be like, nah, dude, you're David Blaine, and you belong in Vegas. Get back there. You know? Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, honestly, think about it. Today, we're in 2023. If some dude came up and he was like, I'm the son of Christ, and I can do all these magic tricks, we've seen so much to this day and age where you could be like, we got to see where the smoke and mirrors are.
Yeah.
And we're going to, like, people would try to debunk it and break it and myth bust the shit out of it until because they're going to be like, we don't believe you. But we're getting off topic.
Yes, we are. So with a little bit more of the good old Templars, I don't know, man, where do you want to keep going? 'Cause, I mean, I didn't really get into their decline at all.
We kind of moved that down a little bit, but there is the whole thing about how they did acquire or amass a lot of land and treasures. Like, I mean, the fact that they had the Covenant and the Holy Grail, that's just like a small part of their treasure. I mean, it's significant, but it's a small part of the mass of wealth they had.
Oh yeah, well, and not just the wealth, dude, the power. So like here,
money equals power, dude.
Well, I know, but here, so was it 1139? Yes, they were given this right to where they could pass freely through all borders, were not required to pay any taxes, and were exempt from all authority except that of the Pope.
Yeah. That's
like that's a lot, dude.
That's a big flex.
Yes, and it's their clear mission was to gain resources and to grow their numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just
because they were the army of God.
Yeah. So then here they ended up going like trying to see, and that's the problem with this, like trying to really get a grip on their numbers, is you really can't at this time because there's nothing documented as far as like they had, you know, they were at 500 knights and then they got, you know, an enlistment of 1,000 more, you know. But yeah, they had a shit ton of money, a shit ton of land, like noblemen who were interested in partaking in the Crusades would have to give their assets over to the Templars to be a part of the Crusades. Mm. So you want to be like, hey, I want to fight and I want to join the Crusades and everything else. Like, okay, sign over all your shit. You'd be like, what? Sign over all your shit and we'll help you get there.
Yeah, be part of the community.
So people would send over their stuff. Yeah,
Scientology.
And they were the first people to really get into like banking. They would give out lines of credit. They had checks, and they had like it's crazy, dude. Like instead they'd be like, here, give us your gold, and we'll write you a check for your gold, so that nobody can steal it. And then when you get to where you are, you give our guys this check, and they'll give you your money when you get there. They were the first people to do that.
Yeah. Well, they were, I guess you'd call it the first economic superpower. Mm-hmm. And that was without a question because of how big they got.
Yeah. I know. I wish there was a map. I want to find it. If there was a map of like Templar, like control, like
there is one on the documentary I saw, but this was after their fall.
Oh, okay.
And once they started uprising again, because they went all throughout. So they separated from Spain and all that stuff. Went into Portugal, started the Mediterranean, and they went down like the African coast, around all the way to India, because that was they were navigating and all that. That's when they became a powerful sea threat. But yeah, and then they had their little castles here and there around, like their points of their strategic, what do you call them?
Here you go, list of Knights sites. I need to see this.
Well, they had their I don't want to say lookouts, but they had their like bases posted throughout, like I want to say coastlines.
Yeah.
All the way from like Portugal down the African coastline, around back up to India, and I don't know how far they stretched.
So here let me get this right here. So just in Europe, there's a little list of. It doesn't show where they're at, but it just says like that. So you have, in what is now the United Kingdom, you have at least 60 spots just in the UK. In France, there was 360.
But what's that, like sightings?
Like sites, like castles, towns, encampments, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
118 in Italy, 59 in Spain, 15 in Portugal, 12 in Poland, looks like 9 in Belgium, Alamein, that kind of looks like that would be Germany. Looks like there was 20. There was 5 in Greece, and in a couple other places, maybe this looks like Austria. It was 4.
Did they get to the chopper?
Maybe. They got to the Knights chopper. The Night chopper.
Get to the chopper. We're going to take over Jerusalem again.
And then, that doesn't even include, like, what they had in the Middle East. So, in the Middle East, they had even more. I would assume up until the Crusade when they lost. So.
Well, those was dominated for a while.
Well, yeah. It changed, but that's the thing. The Holy Land changed.
So
changed hands over and over again.
Yeah, tell me about the fall.
All right, so with the fall, we would have to go to. Let's see, what would be a good date to start with?
Closer to 13 something.
No, their downfall really started in 1187, so pretty early. Well, because they started losing.
Grace.
No, they started losing battles. In the Holy Land. And it was kind of like making everybody be like, oh, what the hell's going on? Like, why are these guys starting to lose? So in 1187, they lost this battle of Hattin to Muslim forces. And then it ends up going back. The the Roman Emperor Frederick II took the city back in 1229, but without Templar help. Yeah, so it's kind of like, well, we didn't need them in the first place, so like, why are we worried about them?
Yeah.
And then now they were forced to leave their original headquarters to other cities north, and then they went up to it's Accra.
Is this the one you're talking about, Battle of Hattin?
Yes.
Okay.
So then they ended up going to Accra, which they lost in 1291 because the Muslim forces started to keep going even harder and harder and harder.
Okay, hold on. What was the time leap?
So we got in 1187
Okay.
was their first like major loss. 1187, yep. Mm-hmm. And then the Roman Emperor Frederick II came back with just Christians, no Templars. So just regular, and took
regular
that
Joes.
And took that back in 1229.
So you're talking about a 50-year leap almost.
Yeah.
And then what was their other battle lost?
And then so now they're like, okay, their original like headquarters was lost, so they had to relocate to another area. So then they went to Accra, which was on the coast, and then they lost that in 1291.
So you're talking 1187 to 1291, over 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 generations, maybe 3.
But this is the start of their decline. So now they're not even being used in battles.
So it's just a society of Templars.
Yeah. So now the Christians are looking at it as like, wait a minute, we don't need these guys, so we won't ask them for help. So now they're being pushed out of places, and then they went to Accra to start their own with their headquarters, and then they lost that and had to move to, which is now present day like Syria, and then they had to move to an island just off the coast of Egypt.
Yeah, I'm just trying to relate it to like what it would be like comparing us to like us nowadays, like 2023 to, dude, how far can you go back? Like,
well, I mean, you can even
like
say like, so here
grandparents from World War One.
No, you can go like here. Our start of our decline was the Civil War.
Was it though?
Yeah, because there was so much division and hatred and everything in our country that started it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go further into our history with like during the period of like the civil rights movement caused a lot of hate. And was there any real progress from that?
Yeah.
Was it though? Or was it just...
Not, I mean, it wasn't like obvious right at the time, but it caused a movement which to...
Did it cause positive change or things that can now be considered as enabling? Equal opportunity. Is it really equal opportunity? No kid left behind? That's not equal opportunity.
No.
That's putting a Band-Aid on a situation.
Yeah, but
affirmative action. Affirmative action is not a good thing.
Right, but you're talking about civil rights.
Yes,
civil rights were established to give
it made a little bit of change, but it didn't do the change that it should have done.
It really depends on how you look at it, because from a standpoint where you're a black man, let's say.
Well, it changed the points of it incorporates people that you should just be able to incorporate.
Right.
But I'm talking about it created some policies that weren't good for equal rights. It made it seem like, well, now we have to cater and make you feel like, okay, you're only getting this because of who you are.
Right. That's
what I'm talking about. Like,
and
that's
wrong.
And that's where we're still in that decline.
Right.
And now it's even getting worse.
Yeah.
Because now you're adding other categories and numbers and letters, and you can be a fucking turtle if you want to say you're a turtle.
Hey man,
or you want to be a lion and you're a lion. It's like that's when our decline started, and it's just been going at a slow pace. I wouldn't say
civil rights started that decline.
No,
though.
the Civil War.
The thing is, I think, or Civil War.
Yeah.
But I think that decline started coming when people started abusing those sorts of rights, or powers, whatever you want to call them. When people started abusing it, and they're like, well, you know, I should get this or blah, blah, blah because of this and that. It's like, well, you're kind of saying that you are that. And I thought you wanted to be treated as an equal and not be told, like, you're this race or you're this color or what have you, you know. But I don't think civil rights or the Civil War started that. Because the Civil War actually was, Civil War was because the North wanted, one thing and the South wanted another.
Well, the Civil War was because the North wanted to charge more for the South to make things. Mm-hmm. And the South's like, no, dude, like, we're not gonna pay you more for what we're doing. We're the ones making everything.
Yeah.
And then they used, slavery as their backing force to recruit people to fight. Like, I really don't think that there was a lot of people in the government that really cared about slavery, as far as trying to go in, fight against it.
Yeah.
When the outcome was that the South was producing a lot of shit.
Yeah, but it did play a part, and historically, it did play a part.
And historically, what? The Emancipation Proclamation didn't free one single slave.
Not at that exact moment.
No, it never freed a slave. The South already seceded from the Union. It didn't happen. Abraham Lincoln didn't free anybody. He didn't. He made a speech about something to half of the United States. So how did they
become free then?
After the war.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they always put as the Emancipation Proclamation was where, that's when they started freeing slaves.
Shit doesn't happen overnight.
No, but the thing is that his speech meant nothing to the southern states.
Yeah, because they didn't want it.
Because they weren't part of the United States. They seceded from the Union already.
Right.
So his thing is like he didn't free a single slave. He didn't do shit.
Right.
He just stood there and made a speech and then got killed watching a play.
You make it sound so simple.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The people who freed slaves were the people involved in the Underground Railroad.
Right.
Those were the people who freed the slaves.
Right.
And
with the support of?
Nobody. Of their own. The government didn't fund them.
No, they didn't fund them.
There's no support. The support were those people doing it.
Yeah.
That's not support. That's them taking action on their own. They had no support.
But if there was no support,
if they got caught, they were fucking dead.
Were they though?
If people working the Underground Railroad were caught
in the North,
I'm talking about getting the people out of the South.
I'm talking about in the North. Where were they going once they got out?
It depends on which part of the line they were on. They were either going up to New York or into Canada, or they were coming up here
into the North.
Yeah.
Where?
But they could still have the South still had.
Yeah, if you went
back
south.
No.
Yeah.
There were still supporters here, dude. There wasn't just everybody here was like free all the slaves.
No, of course not.
There was people who were sympathizers to the Confederacy.
Right.
And you don't think that those people back then would take action of their own if they found him?
Yeah, those guys would. Of course. But
so yeah, those people were still.
What the fuck does this have to do with the Knights Templar?
Because you were talking about the decline.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we went down a rabbit hole on a completely different topic.
We're talking about a civil war, dude.
I know.
I don't know. We went from Christian history to
all right. So anyway,
and in World War II.
Anyway, so in 1305, this is when shit starts getting bad.
Does it though?
Well, this is when Pope Clement V sent a letter to the Templar Grand Master and the Grand Master of the Knights Hospitaller to discuss both orders merging into one instead of them being two separate entities. And at that point, both Grand Masters was like, nah, fuck off. Like, we're our own separate groups. So then, while that was going on, they tried to create criminal charges on the Templars in coordinates with like King Philip of France, where that's where he got these false charges
Every time I hear King something, I'm like, fuck that dude. For real, dude.
Yeah.
Think about it. Monarchy, they're mostly jagoffs.
Yeah. But this is all about, so with a lot of shit about King Philip, he owed a lot of money to the Templars because he was giving them money to help him fight his war in England.
Yeah.
So.
Go figure.
Yeah. So that kind of fucked up. And then that's when he, did the whole thing of arresting Templars and doing the false accusations of, they admitted to ceremonies where recruits were forced to spit on the cross, deny Christ, and engage in indecent
So the way
kissing.
for this dude to get out of debt was like,
throw them under the bus.
Yeah, I'm going to talk shit about these dudes, throw them under the bus, and,
Yeah,
file
basically
bankruptcy.
Try to blackmail them, be like, oh, they did all this shit, dude. They were blowing each other. They were blowing each other and saying Christ was bad. We got to get rid of him.
Yeah.
So he does all these accusations, and it's just like they engaged in homosexual practices, and
that's never happened in Rome.
Yeah. So in accusing them of worshiping false idols. So he made all these accusations, and the Pope was just like, yeah, no, this isn't real. So then he ends up capturing guys and torturing them to doing it again, and they made these false confessions to where this stuff happened. And then that's when the ultimate downfall of the Templars happened. But it's crazy because they were also charged with numerous financial corruptions, fraud, and secrecy charges too.
Well, I'm not saying I don't want to think they were fucking saints.
No, they weren't.
They obviously. I mean, these guys were fucking killers. That 10%.
Yeah, but see, they weren't only capturing and torturing those guys. Yeah. They were capturing the guys who were involved in the banking part of it, in the land management part of it.
Guilty by association.
Yeah, and they were going after them too. So, I mean, you have back in, all the way through the, 1313s to 1315, all these Templars were still being rounded up and brought to trial. So, I mean, it happened for a while.
Well, I mean, and if you think about it, to some extent, those dudes, well, not those dudes, but their ideals are still around.
Yeah. Well, here
to this day.
And I'll read this little bit that you can dive into because you were talking about it. So the remaining Templars. So this is after they're all being rounded up and everything. So then the remaining Templars around Europe were either arrested and tried under a papal investigation, which virtually none of them were convicted. They were absorbed into other Catholic military orders or pensioned off and allowed to live out their days peacefully. By papal decree, the property of the Templars was transferred to the Knights Hospitaller, except in the kingdoms of Castile, Aragon, and Portugal. Portugal was the first country in Europe where they had settled, occurring only 2 or 3 years after the order's foundation in Jerusalem, and even having presence during Portugal's conception. The Portugal king, Denis I, refused to pursue and prosecute the former knights, as had occurred in all sovereign states under the influence of the Catholic Church. Under this protection, Templar organizations simply changed their name from Knights Templar to the reconstituted Order of Christ, and also a parallel Supreme Order of Christ of the Holy See. Both are considered successors of the Temple Knights. And that's what I'll give back to you, because you were talking about that.
Yeah, and that's what I saw. Because when they did all that stuff, they were... so that's when Portugal had their rebellion against Spain or whatever, and they separated.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have a monarchy. So when they started their own country or what have you, they had King, what's his name?
Dennis.
I'm not sure if that's the guy that I'm talking about, but
he was
yeah. Let's roll with him. So just to keep the argument going. So, under his tutelage, or not under the Knights' tutelage, they arose. They created the monarchy, which they was based, and the key name comes Portugal, Port of the Grail. Mm-hmm. That's where allegedly the name came from, Portugal, Port of the Grail, and that's when they started developing the naval part of their military operation, let's call it.
Yeah.
And they were very strategic in placing or acquiring castles and whatnot. And it was the documentary I saw, like they had a whole village that was like given to them or what have you, their headquarters temple, but their church was outside of that village. I forgot the name of the church. It had something to do. It was correlated with like the 7 hills of Jerusalem or something like that. But they had like tunnels underground, so they connect. And there's like, oh, we have the village where we have the people, blah blah blah, or and they're like, when we need to have a secret meeting, they would get in their secret tunnels, go to the church, and that's where the real shit went down. The masquerade parties, if you will.
Yeah.
But they had so they did that in Portugal. They brought up their level sea-wise. They had ships and blah blah blah. And they started building around the African coastline around, and it even talks about Magellan and all those dudes, how they were explorers too, and they were like, we gotta navigate, they were basically trying to go and see and possibly conquer other lands. And so they were talking about how Christopher Columbus, he wasn't a Knights Templar, but how he may have stolen documents or scrolls or whatever from those dudes, or came upon them. I don't want to say stole, but came upon them, and that's how he plotted his voyage. And if you think about it, what did they have on the 3 ships? The Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria?
Well, they had the Templar Cross on them.
The Templar Cross.
Yeah.
Exactly. But at that point, those dudes were already they were broken down, and the cross is kind of the same, but it looks a little bit different. It has the edges on the ends of the...
Got to change it up just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But, yeah, like, there's even monuments still in Portugal where you could go, and under a certain light, it looks like there are hidden entrances to, like, secret...
oh, dude, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, yeah.
No, but it's like things that are cemented now.
Yeah.
Or tunnels where it's like you could go down, and after a certain point you can't access because either the walls are collapsed or cemented out. It's pretty crazy, dude. And that's just from like an authorized documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine if you were like, I want to go down there and fuck it. I don't care if I...
You can actually
take my GoPro, and
you can actually take a Knights Templar tour in Lisbon, Portugal.
Yeah.
So you can go to the seat of the Grand Master of the Knights Templar in Tomar.
Yeah, those dudes had a network of they were castles, but what do you call
forts?
Them? Yeah, like forts.
Yeah.
Around. And they would do the communication with the fires where you could see it like from, I don't know, 100 miles out. Yeah. Like, oh, that dude's got a huge fire. That's a signal for danger or whatever. They were bad motherfuckers, dude. The Order of Christ. Well, once they reassembled.
Yeah.
They're pretty crazy. And then the part that I was reading into, like they've actually so those dudes So the Knights Templar got dismantled. Mm-hmm. They regrouped as a different order.
As the
Order of Christ.
The order, yeah.
Or the one what was it called?
It was the Order of Christ, and then it was also like the Supreme Order of Christ, and then also like the Knights Hospitaller.
Yeah, the Knights Hospitaller. That's the ones I was talking about. So you had these dudes. They're still like. They work themselves, or either they may have orchestrated the secret societies that exist today, i.e., the Bilderbergers were named for it. As an example, the Illuminati, and maybe some others.
Well, I'm just looking at the Military Order of Christ. They actually went till 1789, and I mean it keeps talking about how they were, they were basically the origins lie in the Knights Templar. They had a lot more like details as far as their insignia of like who wore a collar and who was an officer and a commander and knight.
So the ranking?
Yeah, they were.
Hierarchy. Henry
the Navigator was a Grand Master. Sebastian of Portugal. It's kind of weird. Like, I don't know. There's this. This was more of a Brazilian. Oh, those like entities using their cross as an insignia. It was the Brazilian Football Confederation. Like, I didn't know that they stretched out to that. And then, looking at this, so we had the Order of Christ, and then they said they also are known as the Supreme Order of Christ. But I don't know, it's actually an award. I don't know if it might have been an organization first, and then they're like, all right, well, this thing's done. Let's just make it like an award. It's like the highest honor that you can have for chivalry awarded by the Pope.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Maybe they were just like,
hey, we dismantled these guys 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Now let's make them an award. That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it owes its name, the origin name, to the Order of Christ of the Knights Templar, from which came the Order of Christ that was awarded by the kings of Portugal and the emperors of Brazil.
No. So, are they, or the, well, not the Knights Templar, because they got dismantled, but they trickled down into the Freemasons, didn't they, at some point?
So there's, in modern times, there are a few organizations that have quote-unquote lineages to
the Knights
Templar, and Freemasons are the main one, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
There's, what are they called? So there's temperance organizations that name themselves after the poor fellows, soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, citing the belief that the original Knights Templar drank sour milk, and also because they were fighting a great crusade against the terrible vice of alcohol. The largest of these was the International Order of Good Templars. They grew out throughout the world after being started in the 19th century and continue to advocate from the abstinence from alcohol and other drugs. And other orders in this tradition include those of the Templars of Honor and Temperance, which is a large presence in Scandinavia. So we would not be allowed
I was just thinking that
into that order.
we would have to get that 0% Heineken or some shit.
Yeah, we would have to drink the alcohol-free beer.
Yeah.
So that's one.
And a shot of water?
Yeah, pretty much. And then there's another group called the Sovereign Military Order of the Temple of Jerusalem. And it's a self-styled order which was publicly disclosed in 1804 and accredited as a non-governmental organization by the UN in 2001. And it only admits Christians of many denominations into its ranks. So I want to actually look these people up because I never heard of them before.
You know what's crazy? I was thinking about I don't know if you ever saw the movie, the Da Vinci Code, where the guys that are hunting down Tom Hanks and the girl.
Oh, all right. So you got you're talking about the
order.
Opus Dei.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have the Priory of Sion, who is the Defenders of the Grail. And then you have Opus Dei.
Yeah.
Which, here, let me, hang on. I'm trying to get this to show up, but it won't come up. I just want to look at the Sovereign Military Order of the Temple of Jerusalem. And so, when it comes to Priory of Sion, Oh, I spelled it wrong.
Come on, man. I gotta give you a hard time because you're always correcting me.
So with the Priory of Sion, they were a fraternal order that let's see what's going on here. There's a lot of shit in French that I can't understand. I mean, just basically going off of the movie without really diving into this, they were the people who were like kind of descendants from the Templars to, keep the Holy Grail safe.
Yeah.
And Opus Dei was more of a radical sect of the Catholic Church.
Well, here we go.
That was looking to find it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just talking about in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm just in the movie. That's what their goal was. They were
radical group. That's what they are described as.
Opus Dei. Well, they were more of a radical, like as far as taking the Catholic word, like to a T. They were more of a radical like view of we need to be this way and only this way. So then, I didn't mean it radical as like they were like, well, I mean a little bit, but as far as they
like
were
Al Qaeda radical,
they were more radical in the sense of they followed Scripture to a T.
Yeah.
And when it came up where the possibility of the Grail being something, they needed to go find it. So.
Yeah. So here the Opus Dei are described as formerly known as Prelature of the Holy Cross, and Opus Dei is an institution of the Catholic Church whose members seek to implement Christian ideals in their occupation and in general society.
Mm-hmm.
So not radical, not to a T, but
no, I'm just talking off of basis of the movie.
Yeah. Which they were pretty nuts.
Well, yeah, in the movie they were way more
sadistic.
Yeah. I mean, they had fucking the dude fucking
Silas?
going around. Yeah, Silas going around.
The albino monk.
Tell me, where is the keystone?
Yeah, while he's whipping himself in the back.
While he's fucking hurting himself.
It's penance, dude.
I know, but it's just like, damn, dude, like, you just killed a whole bunch of fucking people. Maybe you should go chill out for a little bit. Maybe go talk to somebody.
Yeah. That was Paul Bettany, I think, in that.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I am a ghost.
The ghost. Yeah. The Opus Dei, dude, I hadn't even thought about them. Yeah, they were another secret society.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like the movie plays it in a different way than what it actually is.
They put them in a different light.
Yeah, like they make it seem really like covert type stuff, and I don't.
They're just like, hey, we're just dudes that pray.
Pretty much, yeah.
We follow the rules, but in a different way.
Like, I'm looking up this the Sovereign Military Order of the Temple of Jerusalem, and these guys dress up like Knights Templar.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh. Goofy bucket helmets and everything?
No, like they wear the
cross?
The cross.
White and red?
Yeah.
Mm.
They have their own official website.
Oh boy.
You can become a member.
No thanks. I'm all good.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't even know where they're based out of.
Probably Jerusalem.
No, they're not.
Then they got a chapter.
Oh, wow. Well, they're all over the United States, Canada, Argentina, all of Europe, Russia, Australia, Egypt, nothing in Mexico. They have Brazil, Colombia, Peru. Yeah, they're they're not in the Ukraine, and they're not in Belarus, or the Czech Republic. So yeah, they're very select. Oh, they're not in the Holy Land. Oh, they are in Jordan. Yeah, they are in Jordan. Pretty crazy. The map has different people that you can connect with, but nobody really in Africa except for Egypt. So I don't know. And there's nobody in Asia.
Well, Africa's like Religion-wise?
Yeah, there's nobody in Asia, though. You can't contact anybody in China. The Philippines, though, there is a connection in the Philippines.
Well, what religion does Asia follow? Like
Asia, well, they're probably like, well, you got Taoism, then you got like Buddhism.
Yeah,
you know,
they don't follow.
They don't follow Christian. No, I know, but I was being funny that there was nobody there. Like,
right, that's what I'm saying.
There's no contacts.
And then you go to Africa, which you said they weren't really there. And I'm trying to think. I'm like, what religion? A lot of religion in Africa is Muslim. There's a lot of Muslims in Africa. Exactly.
And there are select group, like a lot of pockets of Christianity in there too.
Well, pockets.
And I mean, and there might be just like they don't believe in God. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, just because you don't believe,
because I mean, there are a lot of those nomadic tribes.
Yeah, but I mean that doesn't mean
same thing in like Brazil. Like, do they believe in like gods? Like, like, oh, the rain
like the
god.
Greeks.
Yeah, that's where they could be in there.
Or the Egyptians at 5,000 years ago or whatever. But see, that's where I don't want to say I fall in there, but I kind of do, because what they tell you, what was written, is written by man.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I have faith, but I have faith in a higher power. Like we were talking about, like Christ earlier, how there's different takes on depending on the religion, and he was a dude who did magic tricks. And there was like, oh no, he's the son of God, and he had all these divine miracles he created or whatever. I kind of fall a little bit more towards like, he was there, but maybe he was, pulling a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't there. But is there a higher power? Yes, I believe that for sure.
Yeah.
And I think there's deism is kind of, I think that's where I might fall under. Whereas, like, you believe in a supreme power, the higher intelligence, what have you. But I skeptically follow Catholic religion, where I, like, question it.
Yeah.
Because even when I had my confirmation, I told the priest, I'm like, look, dude, like, this is me being a grown man. And I had to take confession. I was like, look, dude, I don't really feel I need to confess to you, because anything that I know or I think, the big man already knows.
Yeah.
He's like, well, just, you want to get anything out of your chest? And I was like, I'm not going to tell you my dirty secrets, dude. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no offense. But
and then you hear his pants zip up. Why not, man?
I was too old.
I was wondering what you got going on.
I was too old for him already.
What did you do? Huh? Yeah. Did you watch a movie you shouldn't have been watching? Huh? No, I didn't. Are you sure? Yeah, no. For real, are you sure? Yeah. Did you touch a girl's boob by chance? Maybe a little bit. No, I didn't. Why not? What? Oh, nothing. Just asking.
Yeah. But, I think that's where I fall in there a little bit. My wife's going to kill me for saying that, but it's...
Amen.
And she knows, she kind of knows this, because I've told her, I was like, I question shit a lot. It's one of my flaws, according to her. It's like, why can't you just go with the flow? I'm like, because I can't.
Well, on certain topics you should question,
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be a sheep, following blindly into the slaughter.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's definitely things you got to question.
Well, yeah, of course. And if you don't question, then, it's just, what's the point of living?
But, like, even, I mean, there's since we're talking about the Knights Templar Secret Society, there's really good books that I would recommend people read if they like these kinds of topics, like The Origin of the Universe by Mark Booth, or Outwitting the Devil, which is kind of those, like, healthy habits of the rich person or whatever. But it's, I think that was Mark Hill or something like that. Oh, Napoleon Hill. He is he died a long time ago, and that book, he wrote it in like 1938, and it couldn't get released because that dude, like, tells you, like, school and religion, they're like they're making you a sheep.
Mm-hmm.
So they can release it back then because, you're putting down the church and you're putting down the school system. You're basically like...
Oh, yeah.
You're throwing a wrench into the gears big time.
Mm-hmm.
But the dude's dead, and I guess his, like, I don't want to say his kids, but probably his grandchildren were like, yeah, put that shit out there. He gone.
Yeah.
It's a really good book. Those are really good books. Because they tell you, like, don't let yourself get indoctrinated into what's already there. You don't have to fall in line just because it's already there. You can
pull yourself out of the matrix.
Yeah, there you go. That's another one.
Yep.
You don't have to be Neo, but you definitely pull yourself out.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've had this talk with people before about.
I've gotten drunk when I feel like I got disconnected from the matrix. It's like I got pulled out. Ugh.
But just like as far as work in like life in general, like being able to see that, like, all right, you can break away from the norm and not just fall in line with everybody else and divert into your own path, and learn skills and learn mindset to be like, nope, everybody is going this way. I'm going to go that way.
Yeah.
And I'll find my own way there.
Well, let me ask you this. In a post-apocalyptic world, I'm not talking about like a zombie apocalypse or anything. I'm talking like internet, everything goes down. Would you survive?
Oh, yeah. That'd be fine.
It's going camping, basically.
Exactly.
I think I would, too. I'm not talking about, you're going to have like a group of, ravenous zombies.
I mean, I'm going to have
28 days later.
I'm going to have a really shitty house because I can't really build that well, but I mean...
Not even that, dude.
I'd be able to...
Okay, so you got to think about it this way. Not everybody's gonna make it if something like that happens.
No, I can fish, I can hunt, I can cook, I can,
right,
figure out all that stuff.
Eventually, it's kind of one of those survival of the fittest kind of deal, where not everybody's gonna make it. So you gotta think about it. People will start to die off. Are you gonna worry about paying your mortgage? Fuck no.
No.
But at that point, the banking system's collapsed.
Oh, dude, if shit went south, I'd be like, fuck this. I ain't paying for shit.
Right. But the only thing is you got to worry about is other factions. So you would have to... I don't want to say you would have to join a faction, because you could be solo. That's kind of shitty. But you could fall into a community where you're like, hey, we're going to try to reestablish some sort of society.
Well, and I feel like if it gets to that point, right, you find out the people who you can
coexist with.
You can tolerate the most.
Coexist with.
No, tolerate.
No, you would coexist with people.
As long as I have a level of tolerance,
yeah,
I'm okay. Because I'll be like, hey, look, I'm gonna live over there.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, but yeah, you would have to find like-minded people.
Yeah, that
you can tolerate.
Exactly.
And
not only that, you'd have to have some sort of value to that community.
Yeah, you'd be like, all right, hey, you are a better builder than I am. Build us a fucking wall out of something. Out of anything that you could fucking find. Cars, whatever. Like, we'll flip this shit over. Just some kind of barrier.
Yeah.
You
have to build some... You have to...
You can plant food. Here's some, plant these fucking seeds that I stole from fucking Home Depot because fucking Home Depot went to shit.
Yeah.
And just be like, we're going to go hunt. We'll find something.
Yeah.
We'll go hopefully find a forest preserve and kill some deer or something.
Well, I mean, the good thing is there's always something to hunt. I mean, even in modern society. Like, even if... where we live right now, in the burbs or in the city, you get out of the city, you go into a wilderness, you can hunt rabbit.
Yeah.
You can hunt fucking quail. You could hunt anything.
Or you come across a farm and you just fucking kill everything there. Or take over the farm.
Well, at that point, you're going to have to manage your resources.
Or I just take over, we just kill the farmer. Just take over the farm.
Come on, dude.
We stumble across, they're like, hey, bro, can we join you? No. All right. Well, it's ours now.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's.
And then we manage the farm, and then
we kill all the animals, and we have steak every day for dinner.
No. You manage that.
But do you know how to farm?
I can handle the cattle part.
Shut up, dude.
I would learn.
How are you gonna learn? There's no internet.
You would figure it out, dude.
It's not like you could just figure it out.
With farming, yeah, there's certain seasons, okay. Yeah. But then you don't use the same area of field to do the same thing. You have to plant it in another area because then that land needs time to like rest and regrow,
fertilize itself.
And then you go and you do patches. Yeah, I know that part. It's like agricultural 101. Yeah. You don't keep planting in the same fucking spot over and over again because it's just not going to work.
No.
You plant one here, then then the next year you go over here. Next year you're there, next year you're there, and you come back around.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hardest part during like a post-apocalyptic thing would probably be fresh water.
Oh, you just find a stream.
No, but depending on what's going on, like if there's some kind of fallout.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the hardest part. I feel like would be making sure you have enough fresh water,
clean water.
Yeah.
Usually a stream though, because it's flowing water.
Yeah, but I'm talking about if
you're talking about like a nuclear fallout,
or just something bad to where like things are contaminated. That would be the hardest part because then you don't want to grow shit with contaminated water because then you have a contaminated food source.
At that point, the water would be the least of your problems. You'd have contaminated food source regardless because of the land and the soil.
What I'm saying, but if we find water, we'd have to make sure that it's clean.
Yeah. I mean, even then, if you got rain, you don't know if it's contaminated because of the fallout.
Mm-hmm.
The clouds could be contaminated. At that point, you might as well just kiss your ass goodbye.
Just hunt midgets.
What?
Went Japanese albino hunting.
You're not allowed to say the M word anymore, dude. Nowadays, it's little people.
I thought you said the N word. I'm like, I didn't say the N word.
No, I said the M word.
Yeah, you gotta
M as in mother.
You gotta really articulate
M.
The M. Yeah. So anyway, back to the Knights, since we completely went off on a tangent.
I feel like that's something like we could have an episode about that.
Yeah.
About survivalism.
So, the main thing is that once, like, the biggest, I don't even want to say conspiracy about the Knights, maybe just, like, about them becoming the Freemasons. I wouldn't say that's really a conspiracy. Maybe that's just, like, an urban legend.
Well, it could be...
like, an urban legend with no...
It could be, like, urban legend, or it could be, like, they just evolved. Because they broke off into...
Or there was some people, or there was people who were Masons or who were Knights, who then became Masons, and they're just like, yeah, we gotta, hey, when the head master, Masons, like, does anybody have ideas on what our rules should be? And one says, we should do this.
Like, I was.
No, don't even say I was part of this. Like, just starts putting in some of the rules that the order had. No, just like. Makes rules up like, oh, we need to not do this. Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea.
Well, and that's like the thing with the Order of Christ. They kind of not broke off, but like, I don't want to say infiltrated, but they created part of the secret society. That's why, like I told you earlier, they are associated with the Bilderbergers, the Illuminati, Freemasons. So they kind of like. Got in or created them somehow.
Yeah. They just put their influence into everything.
Yeah. Well, they're the OGs.
Yep.
So.
I know a couple Masons.
Well, they aren't as secreted as.
No, they're very more. They're open now.
Yeah.
Way more open now than they used to be. Like when they were first around in like England and stuff, it was very secret and you had to be invited, and they had.
Are they currently still excommunicado?
The Masons?
Yeah.
No, they incorporate all religions. You just have to have a belief.
No, I'm saying like, yeah, if you want to join,
they're not a Christian group.
No. I'm saying, what I had understood as if you are a Mason, you get excommunicated from the church.
No, that was a long time ago. No, they changed it because it's more of it's
social group now.
Yeah, and the Masonic, like, if you go on some of the websites where you can see like there's fake Masons and then there's other groups, like if you actually go to the main Freemason website where they're very, it used to be only people of Christian backgrounds and stuff like that, but now they take people of take men of all religions, and you just have to.
We're still no women. Oh,
no,
I didn't know that.
I don't think so.
I didn't know that.
They were always. I don't know any women who are Masons. I thought it was still only men. I could be wrong. I was pretty sure that it was still a men's only thing. But let me look that up.
Called the Freemasons.
No, we don't. No.
I'm not saying I'm not part of it.
No, but Manson, like Free the Mansons, like.
Oh yeah. Okay, I can see where that could be.
Yeah, we don't need to free the Mansons. We just leave it alone. Just leave it where it's at. Let's see. What is Freemasonry? Freemasonry is one of the oldest fraternal organizations in the world. It unites men of good character, though of different religious, ethnic, or social backgrounds, share a belief in fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of mankind. Freemasonry offers a system or blueprint for the good man to further improve his character and actions through its system of degrees, symbols, and fellowship opportunities. So yes, it is still for men, what it sounds like.
Sounds like a bunch of jolly old fellas.
Well, and it's a men's fraternity.
Yeah.
You know, and it's based about, like, now it's about community and friendship and everything else like that. Like, now, am I sure? You know, there's, you know, still some secretive weird shit that goes on, probably.
Yeah.
You know, I still have my letter at home. So.
I mean, they're down the road, literally.
Yeah, I know.
But
there was one in Summit too.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's an interesting thing. Like, I would love to learn more about them, like, in person, and actually see it. You know, I don't know so much about, you know, wearing all the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of weird to me. Yeah, they're in downtown Plainfield. There's a Mason's Lodge.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about, on the road.
Yeah. And then there's another one in, there's one in Lockport.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one over not too far from me. Yeah, a little bit far from me, actually. It's over by St. Francis. There's one over there, too.
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes from you.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple.
Yeah. But, I mean, in this day and age, it sounds more like a social club.
And that's what it is. I mean, I'm sure that so you have, like, there's different ranks.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, once you get to a certain level,
you get into the
like,
good
you
stuff.
learn some shit that you're probably like, whoa, what? And they look at you like, yeah, don't fucking say shit. Like,
yeah.
We'll fucking stab you in the throat. And
you might go missing.
Yeah. You end up in the fucking I&M Canal. They'll give you that serial killer that's killing people and putting them in the Chicago River. Nobody will talk about, you know.
Yeah.
Dude, they won't talk about it. Nobody's talking about all these bodies that they're finding in the Chicago River.
They didn't talk about John Wayne Gacy when he was doing the shit.
And not saying that there's a serial killer at loose, because early or late 20s to early 30s men going to and from work or going out in the city are ending up in the Chicago River. They're the only ones ending up in the Chicago River.
Dude,
just saying.
I know.
Oh, and actually they moved it over. There was another one into another river further south. So now he's moving the bodies that way. So, just saying. Just saying.
Dude, they didn't talk about John Wayne Gacy when he was doing his shit.
No, they didn't.
Exactly. The news comes after the fact.
Yes.
So, anything you want to get out before we close the episode?
Well, I mean, we barely touched basis on Freemasons and like the influence that they've had in our own country.
Like George Washington.
George Washington. There's a lot of Masons that fought, created this country, and that's why we have so many of their symbols and everything else. Like, we were founded on Christian beliefs, quote unquote. Just because that was the religion at the time.
Yeah.
Or the main religion at the time of exploration of the world.
Well, was it 1776? Was independence?
Yes.
And what was George Washington president?
He was the first president.
What? He wasn't a president right after there's a gap.
Well, yeah, he would have. Well, no, because he was. When they signed everything, I thought they made him president.
Right away? Like, hey, sign here. Okay, now you're president.
Well, he was... No, he was in 1798.
Yeah. So we're talking about...
Well, because he was fighting. He was fighting the fucking war, dude. He was a general, so he came,
Independence was gained in 1776.
Yes.
He got elected in 1790 what?
He was in office at 1789.
89.
Till 1797.
Yeah. Is that 8 years? That's like 9 years.
It was 8.
Okay. My math is off right now. But anyway. There's still like a 20-year gap, isn't there? 1776. 89.
So here, I'll go through his little thing here, as far as his governmental thing.
Like a 12-year gap.
So he was in office for the Virginia House of Burgess from 1758 to 1775. He was a delegate from 74 to 75. Chancellor of the College of William and Mary from 1788 to 1799.
And all the while, he was a Freemason.
Yes, he was commander-in-chief of the Continental Army from 1775 to 1783. And then he was a senior officer of the United States Army from 1798 to 1799. And then he was elected president in 1789 to 1797.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were putting the country together and figuring out everything like, oh, hey, maybe we need some dude to be in charge.
Well, I think when they wanted to start with like a monarchy too.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, fuck no.
Yeah, we just left that, asshole.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
It's funny how we went from we're fighting this war because we don't want to get taxed, but we're going to tax.
Yep, exactly. We're going to tax it different, though.
Yeah.
We're only going to tax people equally.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Yeah.
Even though, technically, the rich in our country do pay the majority of our taxes. So.
Good, fuck 'em.
We just don't look at it that way because we feel like we get taken a lot out of our paychecks.
Well, percentage-wise, it hits everybody different.
Oh yeah, I know, but no, there was a big thing about like how during this last election, how we need to tax the rich more. The rich don't get taxed. Blah 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 blah. When they actually make up a large portion of the tax, like the top 2% of the country, how much they actually pay in taxes for the country.
Yeah.
Which is astronomical compared to us.
Yeah, but they live way better than we do.
Well, yeah, but it's one of the things where it's like, well, now that you know that they pay so much, like, it's fair. But it's like, but when you have people who know the loopholes of the government to be able to, manipulate it, like, dude, we can change we can get an LLC and write off all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can both get a car and put it under the LLC and then write off the taxes.
Yeah.
Like that's part of it.
Yeah. It's knowing the loopholes.
Mm-hmm. Be like, oh, we can't pay for my phone anymore. Why? Because I use that for my business. Yeah. So it's a business write-off. So now I write off $1,200 a year.
Yeah.
On taxes because I pay for my phone, but my phone's used for work, so it's a work expense, so I can write it all off.
Mm-hmm.
I use my car to come here, I got to write it all off.
Yeah. We use the house to record.
Yeah, you can claim that as a tax exemption.
Yeah.
This is where I pay the bills to keep this place going.
Yep. It's crazy.
I know, dude, but that's how the rich stay rich, man.
The rich stay rich by not paying shit for poor people. The rich stay rich by not giving away their money.
Exactly. And you need to create multiple streams of income.
Yes, revenue.
Yep.
So, got anything else on Freemasons?
Well, we didn't even really cover them. I mean, we kind of just talked about them for a second.
Well, the episode was Knights Templar.
Well, yeah, but the Knights Templar, you can trace the one of the main conspiracy theories is that once the Templars fell, they became the Freemasons.
The Knights of Christ.
Yeah, but that's there's a group, but I'm talking about at the end of the day, they were the descendants, was the Freemasons, were the group that got the most. You know more about the Freemasons than you do about the Order of Christ.
True.
Throughout history.
Yeah. Well, it depends on where you're from.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking
about
here.
If you're from Portugal, you probably.
I'm talking about here in most places. I would say they know the Freemasons over the Order of Christ.
I don't know.
I would say in England, you know more about the Freemasons.
In England, yes. In the US,
France, and Portugal, probably not.
Yeah, they probably know more about the Order of Christ and all that stuff.
Spain, okay,
Español. No me gustan los crustáceos.
But here, it'd be more about the Freemasons over the Order of Christ.
Yeah. I like, I don't know if you ever saw the show Sleepy Hollow.
No. I know it's based off of, but no, I didn't.
Yeah, it's based around Freemasonry. How the dude that Ichabod Crane was in the war.
So is that the one where, it's present day?
Yeah.
But he,
Yeah, he was asleep the whole time the Headless Horseman was out.
Okay.
Yeah. The first couple seasons are good. How... Because he's, connected to him. Yeah. So he's if that dude's alive, you're alive. It's kind of one of those deals. And they talk about how... That's how I came to know George Washington was a Freemason, because he's like, oh yeah, I was in the war with George Washington, and they were fighting the British and whatnot. And they made the fucking horseman British because he's the bad guy.
Yeah. And
the war and whatnot.
Well, you got to. Yeah. He's a bad guy.
We must fire the Death Star, sir. It's a trap.
Big old squid.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a good show. But
nope, I never saw it.
And the dude knows all this shit because he was more advanced, or he had knowledge ahead of its time because of the Freemasons.
Okay,
basically.
And speaking of Freemasons, if you want to get into a little bit more, Assassin's Creed dives into that too.
Yeah,
them and the Illuminati.
The Illuminados, Los Illuminados.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They talk about Los Illuminados in Resident Evil 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Are they the ones who...
No, they're just like a cult that gets infected with BOWs. So, and they're called Los Illuminados, the Illuminated.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's science fiction stuff. So, it makes it oh, that's cool, Yeah.
Let me see if there's anything else of note. I mean, there's a lot when it comes to the Freemasons, but you don't know what's real or what's not. Because you have if you even go through conspiracies of who were members and stuff, the biggest thing is that Jack the Ripper was a Freemason, and the Masons were part of the cover-up of that. Yeah. That's why they could never catch him or ever find him.
What was that one joke I had about Jack the Ripper?
I don't know.
I'm gonna keep that one off the air.
I'm like, wait, why are you laughing to yourself? I don't know.
I'm gonna keep that one off the air.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a little weird, man. Okay.
I'll remind you afterwards.
Okay. Oh, so here's an interesting little tidbit for the wokeness of the Freemasonry.
Mm-hmm.
In 2018, guidance was released by the United Grand Lodge of England, stating that in regard to transgender women, a Freemason who after initiation ceases to be a man does not cease to be a Freemason. The guidance also states that transgender men are also allowed to be Freemasons.
So a woman becoming a man could be a Freemason.
So if you're a dude and you chop it off, but you were a Mason already, you're still a Mason. Or if you're a chick who
turned into a man,
who flipped it in, who pulled it out, who went from inside out, your innie became an outie. You could be a Mason too. There you go. So as long as you identify as a man, you can be a Freemason. So
there you go.
That's their wokeness. Interesting stuff there.
Yeah.
That Mason cut his dick off. Don't need it.
Hey, I found this sausage on the street. I want to be a Mason.
There you go. Just strap it on.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, dude. I didn't know they were that woke.
Well, you got to adapt. Times and all.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But hey,
Me, I'm not all for it. But
you're not for what? Chopping off your junk?
No.
Yeah, me
definitely not.
No, I like keeping things intact.
I don't know. It's just I don't want to dive into
the alphabet people.
The alphabet people.
I got you. I don't want to dive into the alphabet people either.
I got my opinion. I respect other people's opinions. Just don't shove it in my face. I have my own issues to deal with without having to deal with yours.
Well, that's the best way to keep it. Just keep it to yourself.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm good with you doing your own thing. Leave me alone.
Yep.
I
have my shit to deal with. I don't want to have to deal with yours.
Exactly.
Yep.
And on that note, we should probably end our night with a little shot.
Yes. Let's do the repeat of the 43.
Yes, Liqueur 43.
Liqueur. This is pretty sweet. I don't want to say this was, but it is pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I like it.
Yeah, it's good. I told you my.
And it kind of stays in our little, tutelage of Europe because it's from Spain.
It's Espanol?
Yes, it's a Spanish liquor made in Cartagena, Spain.
Cartagena?
Yes.
Or should I say Espanol? Espanol, tío.
See.
Dude, I got so many accents I could bust out.
It doesn't really have too much of a history on it. I was hoping to hit a little bit. Oh, so it's let's see. Liquor mirabilis, which is encountered by the Romans when they conquered the region in 209 BC.
209?
So this is private distilled started in 1924.
Product of Spain.
Yes.
A secret Spanish family recipe of Mediterranean citrus fruits infused with selected botanicals.
In 2011, it was the fastest growing premium liquor in the world and is present in more than 60 countries. In 2015 inquiry into the best-selling alcohols in the world's 50 best bars, Liquor 43 was ranked as the 9th best-selling digestive worldwide. And Liquor 43 was the fastest growing liquor of the scale globally in 2017.
There you go.
Crazy.
It's cray-cray? Honey mustard, you cray-cray.
And in Mexico, they do liquor 43 with espresso and ice.
Oh, yeah. That sounds good.
And a mini beer is liquor 43 cocktail designed to visually imitate a beer.
A little beer.
Yes. You use heavy cream.
Or did you want to say a midget beer?
No. A common cocktail variation in Mexico is the sandrio, which is liquor 43 shaken with whole milk.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, whole milk, though.
What do you do, 2%?
I'd be dead. I'm lactose intolerant.
To 0%?
Like, I don't drink milk.
No.
I
what if it had liquor in it, though?
Or
more specifically,
I take 43. A risk. I take a risk eating ice cream. Okay.
Yeah.
When I want ice cream, like, oh, it's gonna happen. Or I want pizza. Here we go. Put my game face on.
You know what's funny? I've seen you eat pizza, and you're like, oh, I gotta stay away from the bread. So eat all the cheese.
I know.
So that's a risk.
Yes, it's a risk that I'm willing to take.
Yeah. Well,
we got one more episode left in our miniseries on conspiracy theories, and it'll be on Mr. Adolf Hitler. And
the Führer.
Yes, but did the Holocaust really happen? Some people say no.
Hey, man.
I know I can think of millions of people who said yes, but there's some weirdos out there who think that it was all smoke and mirrors.
There's still those people who think the earth is flat.
I know.
So,
but make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Podbean,
Podchaser, iHeartRadio, whatever you want to listen to.
You can find us at Few Beers in a Shot podcast.
Yes.
I don't. What are we on Instagram? Is it at Few Beers in a Shot?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't go on it that much. That's why I don't know. But I know if you Google or go to YouTube and put Few Beers in a Shot, we pop up right away.
And be sure to comment. I mean, we're always open to suggestions about doing shows on specific topics, whatever you guys want. It could be goofy, it could be serious. We like to have fun. We'll always find a dark humor spin to a serious subject. So,
and I do like doing this kind of thing.
Yeah,
where we have topics like we want to research and talk about.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we do mini series blocks.
Yeah.
You know.
Or another popular was the Campfire Tales.
Yes, Campfire Tales was good too.
Which we need to do another episode on.
Yeah, we gotta finish this series before we move on to the next one. So,
of course. But again, thanks for the support. Be sure to like, share, and follow. Tell your friends, tell your family. And here's to you guys.
Yes, cheers.
The Core 43.
Oh, and to the Serious Not So Serious podcast. Whenever we're on there as a guest.
Yes.
We'd love to be a part of that and get to know them more, and then you guys follow them as well.
Yeah.
Because without you guys, we were just a couple dudes just sitting around talking shit, drinking beer.
Yeah.
So, cheers.
Rough to never land. Good night.